LFG, or looking for group, can be a daunting environment for a lot of people for a variety of reasons. So today we're going to get right on into how to avoid bad situations, how to be a good teammate, and ideally, how to find a consistent group of players to run things with. It's honestly a lot easier than people think. This ties in well with my previous in-game tips video, so if you're getting into raids or dungeons, need to make sure your gear and loadouts are set up right before jumping into LFG, head over there first and I'll meet you back here. So, what are the hangups that people typically have with finding guardians to run things with? The complaints I hear most often usually go along these lines. I don't want to run into toxic players. I'm afraid of messing up, or I'm new and I need help. I don't know if I have the gear I need to be effective. Voice comms are difficult for me. I don't just want to play with randoms all day. I'd like to have a group and make friends. Let's go over those in order. First, running into toxic players. Yeah, there are quite a few toxic people out there, regardless of what game you're playing. So here's the golden rule that I go by for handling any annoying groups or individuals. I just look for red flags and leave early. Maybe a few people are making uncomfortable jokes you don't appreciate, or maybe there's someone just being super loud and crunching Doritos straight into the mic. You determine what you're comfortable with and can tolerate, so this is all up to your own values. But if the vibes are off, if you hear some stuff you just don't want to be around, then leave. You don't have to make a huge scene, trolls love to get the reaction, so just leave and find a new group. If you use the bigger Destiny 2 LFG server, there are bots that listen to voice chat, which means you can just report people when needed. I highly recommend staying in that official server until you find a consistent group of people to run stuff with. It is an unfortunate thing to have to deal with, but you've got to value your own time and not waste it with shitty people. Now, with that said, more often than not, much more actually, I find myself in totally normal and not toxic LFG groups, so I wouldn't worry about it like it's some ever-present looming threat, What's more common though is new players not wanting to drag a team down when they don't know what to do, so they avoid trying to find groups altogether. If that sounds like you or anyone you know, here's something y'all need to know. Without new players, the game wouldn't be able to continue to grow, and experienced players know this. Well, at least the ones with brains. MMOs thrive when experienced players can show off their flashy loot and cosmetics, so new players see that and have something to aspire to and work towards, and they seek help from other people on the same path at varying levels of progression, where they're exposed to more cool loot, strategies, and so on. Then when you're all caught up, any new content is fresh and exciting. That's one of the main hooks of an MMO, and without new players, none of that can work. So if you're just getting into endgame, if you're the one breathing new life into my favorite game, here's what I recommend. These here are the resources I suggest to anyone who is looking to join groups that are specifically focused on teaching new players how to clear dungeons, raids, exotic missions, and whatever else you need to run. You'll find people there who want to help you and see you improve, or other new players you can meet and learn stuff together with. If you're looking to learn, there are so many resources out there for you. Through these spaces I'm listing here, you'll have a network of resources that can cover pretty much everything you'll ever need. I'll have links for everything in the description, and I highly encourage you to use them. Alright, so we're leaving toxic players behind, we're reaching out to helpful groups and people, but what if your gear isn't good enough? How do you even know? My previous video touches on that enough for a decent start, so go watch that real quick if you haven't and get some tips about your gear. But today I've got some more info, though I'm not giving too many specifics since the whole weapon system is changing drastically with the new expansion, and I generally would rather expand your knowledge and understanding of the game instead of just giving you short-term instructions, So as a baseline, you'll want a good or decent option for every weapon type. That may sound like a lot, but it really comes together quickly. Primaries are honestly the least important here, as there are so many that kinda all do the same job, and specials are really strong right now, so focus on a good special and of course heavy weapons for each type. Make sure to check the vendors on Weekly Reset and Zur when he shows up. Banshee in the tower rotates weapons every week, and he really does sell some bangers from time to time. Zur has some great stuff, honestly, for new players. It's a fantastic system. Also good to see what teammates are really experienced when you run anything, and maybe just take a look at their gear, see what they're running, ask questions about weapon perks, rolls, things like that. Just make sure you're able to do some damage when it's time to nuke the boss, and thing is, you're going to do a lot more damage just by being alive, regardless of what gear you have, so focus on mechanics and surviving first, then do as much damage as you can. Another common pain point regarding LFG is the use of voice comms. Some people aren't comfortable with or are able to use mics for a variety of reasons. You really don't need to explain yourself, you're fine, but you do need to communicate somehow, as that's kind of a requirement when learning. Some endgame content doesn't technically need callouts, and if you and your team are experienced enough to not need them, then sure, go for it. But chances are, if you're here, that's not why you're watching this video, so what do you do? First, just make sure you're at least in voice chat if the rest of the group is. An essential part of being a good teammate is listening, and if you need to respond, just use text chat. There really isn't much of another way around it, so if you can't or don't want to use voice chat, that's fine, just at least be there to listen and use text chat. So what if you're not really struggling with those previous points, you're just mostly tired of being a solo player? Maybe you're in a clan of strangers you haven't talked to once, or you're not in one at all. LFG is nice to have, but Destiny is always best when you're with friends, everyone knows that. And unfortunately, the in-game systems don't really connect people very well, so what do you do? Well, those resources I listed before are fantastic for this too. Every single day, I see people make posts or comments about how they're just looking for someone to group with, looking for a clan, wanting to farm an activity, or so on. That should be you. These posts always get responses like, "Hey, me and my clan are down to teach you this raid, DM me." And it really is that easy. You just gotta put yourself out there and find a group you click with. Just list what you want to do, your experience level with it, timing information, and whatever else is relevant. It's seriously not tough. You'll get way more responses than you think. And if you find yourself in a random LFG group of cool people, just ask if they want to run anything else or if you can join their clan. Whenever someone asks me that, I'm always excited to bring them in. So really, just don't wait. This game is awesome, but it gets even better when you're hanging out with cool people to share the experience with. It's a team-based game after all, so put yourself out there. What if the juiciest loot was the friends you made along the way? Hopefully that helps some of you out. I hate seeing people on the sidelines worrying about joining in on the best content the game has to offer, and Bungie introducing Explorer mode for Ride of the Nine dungeons has been amazing. I think with Bungie and community sentiment trending in a more inclusive direction, there'll be less and less friction and barriers for new players to deal with in order to experience peak Destiny. And if you're an experienced player who made it this far in the video, thanks bro, and help a noob next time you're on. They are the future of the game. More Destiny content for people who actually like it is on the way, so subscribe for more, and I'll see you around.